Hello everybody, welcome to Osterosty Bugcast. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already and drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second. It makes a massive difference in how the video performs in the YouTube algorithm. So, Jayson Tatum just did something ludicrous. I'm going to be addressing the main channel video that I made about him later on in this commentary, but I don't want to taint it with my own responding to comments, essentially. So that will be at the end. I would understand why, if you don't care about any of that stuff, you don't want me to top it off with that. But my overall point, if you just want to get the quick of it, is that no, I don't think my video aged poorly still. So if you want to hear why I believe that, wait till the end. First, I just want to celebrate Jayson Tatum having the most points in a Game 7 of all time. Of course, just topping Stephen Curry's record with one more point, which I find to be almost petty in a way. Obviously, he wasn't going for it to be petty, but it's just funny to only score one more point to change the record. But, you know, we've been talking about how crazy high the scoring has been all this regular season, so it only makes sense that a record like that would get broken in the only 2 Game 7s we've even had this year, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm pretty sure those are the only ones. So, yeah, excellent performance. All of the issues that he's had throughout this series, he did not have in this game. He was hitting a ton of pull-up threes. He was getting into the basket more, and notably, he started off the game, I think the first shot of the game that he made was some contested mid-range shot, but in general, not a lot of those attempts. Really focused in on the things that he was strong at. He also got a decent amount of free throw attempts due to this this aggression in the paint, and yeah, he was excellent. I'm not going to root for a player to do bad just because it would make one of my takes look good, and I'm especially not going to root for that for a player that I really like, which is Jayson Tatum. While I was watching this game and being like, damn, a lot of people are going to be annoying about this, I also can't be too upset about it because I'm happy that a great performance happened, because I'm ultimately here for good basketball, so when good basketball happens, I got no issue. But to speak to some not good basketball, let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm probably going to do a main channel video about them tomorrow, but Jesus Christ, they did not show up in this one whatsoever. Last I checked, Joel Embiid was like 5 for 16 or something like that. James Harden absolutely shit the bed, which frankly, that's basically what I predicted after Game 6 was I really just don't think Harden's going to show up, because historically he does not show up in elimination games. I say all the time, in any playoff game that's not an elimination game, statistically James Harden typically has a good performance, but whenever it comes time to close out a series, he just cannot do it, which ultimately to me definitely severely negatively affects him as a playoff performer at large. But I still think it's a little ridiculous when people say he's like one of the worst of all time, because that's not true. But he definitely didn't help his case in this game, because both of them were bad. I felt like no one in Philly was really doing anything. Tobias Harris and DeAnthony Melton did some stuff, if I recall. PJ Tucker opened the game hitting 3 out of 4 of his 3-pointers. The one that he missed was like a severe air ball, but the other ones were good. I think he got a 5th one up at the very end of the first quarter. But either way, I don't think he did much else after that, and really nobody did for Philly. Meanwhile, Boston was just cooking with grease throughout the whole game. Jayson Tatum was awesome. I felt like Malcolm Brogdon was really good. Jaylen Brown did some good stuff here. It wasn't like as big of a game as he's had recently, but you know, his teammate had 50. He didn't really have as much room to go off. Just utter dominance from the Celtics at every angle. And on the Sixers part, man, this just always happens. It always happens. And I understand there's some blame to go to Doc Rivers, and I have no doubt that he's not going to be employed by the Sixers after this, given that Monty freaking Williams got fired. I'm damn sure Doc Rivers will get fired for losing in the way that they did. But also his players just have to hit their shots, and if they're just like, Philly didn't do a bunch of things from a strategy perspective that was like significantly dumb in this one. It was quite literally just Embiid and Harden couldn't make their shots, and there wasn't some role player or anything like that that like stepped up to the plate. I also feel like Tyrese Maxey didn't do anything in particular that was special, but in terms of like legacy and long-term stuff and just the experience, we expect more out of Embiid and James Harden Harden than we do Tyrese Maxey. So I'm not really that hard on Tyrese for having been not great for a majority of this series, or at least a large amount of it. But yeah, Joel Embiid not showing up whatsoever in this one. I do understand that he is playing with some kind of injury. I'm not going to be as harsh on him as I do think a lot of people are going to be. But there was a nice twist of irony in this one where for a decent chunk of the game, the way that Jayson Tatum was getting his points was by targeting Joel Embiid in the pick and roll, which if you are not aware why that is ironic, it's because that's what people have been saying you can do to Nikola Jokic in the playoffs to break Denver's defense, and that didn't happen. Not even against Phoenix, where it happened 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, when that it might have been 3 years ago when that happened, I was arguing the whole time it was a system thing and it was a Jokic's teammate thing, and the fact that the point of attack defenders got significantly better and Michael Malone made an adjustment to have Jokic defend the pick and roll differently, suddenly there's different results. But lo and behold, we come to this game versus Joel Embiid, the way better defender than Jokic, which is true, but he's been amazing defensively throughout the playoffs, but just the irony of him not stepping up on those shots and targeting him in the pick and roll being what ended up being his undoing. It's just definitely very ironic. But yeah, that's mostly what I have to say. I'll talk more about the Sixers in depth tomorrow. What I have to say right now is in regard to the Jayson Tatum thing. If you're not aware of this background, I made a video titled Jayson Tatum is a fake superstar. I don't take back my take at all, because the point of the video isn't really something that can be like quote unquote proven wrong, because what I'm talking about is a pattern that Jayson Tatum has had. So if Jayson Tatum, say from this game onward, plays nothing like a superstar for the rest of his career, then that's the closest thing to proving my video wrong would be. But also, I never once proclaimed in any way, shape, or form that Jayson Tatum cannot play like a superstar. He has played like a superstar many a time. I would never have labeled him as to be a superstar in the first place if that didn't happen. So him playing like a superstar, as he obviously did in this game 7, which, look, I get it's a very big game and a very important context, but it doesn't negate what he did before. He wasn't good in the other games because he was great in this one. Overall, for the series, Jayson Tatum was, if not more bad than good, it's pretty damn close to 50-50. So with that being the case, my point was, he can play like a superstar, but he doesn't do it consistently. So if he did do it consistently from now on, well, then times have changed. But what I was talking about before happened. It's not something that didn't happen. It still did. It's still true. It was still true of Jayson Tatum at the time. If he changes from here on out, then he changed. If he doesn't, well, then it will still be right. If Jayson Tatum goes on to the conference finals versus Miami and doesn't end up playing amazing or has a couple of stinker games, I'm not going to be happy about it because I'm rooting for Jayson Tatum to succeed, but it wouldn't shock me because he does have consistency issues. And yeah, he did a damn good statement to say, hey, maybe I am finally here for real constantly all the time, and I'd be happy if he did make that breakthrough, but doesn't prove my video wrong. That's just not how the semantics of the argument work. And I could realize why this would just look like some copium. I fully am aware of the potential optics of this, but even if I wasn't the one who had the take, if it was like a friend of mine and I watched this video, if just not even a friend of mine, just anybody, like if King of the Fourth Quarter put out that take, like, I don't believe Tatum's really a superstar until he's more consistent, I would argue that his take did not age poorly because he hadn't played consistent. And if he does I didn't say in the video Jayson Tatum can't be a superstar. I said this is a problem that he has. He needs to overcome it. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. We won't know that until he does this consistently. Not a 50 piece, obviously, but you know what I mean. But either way, it wouldn't be unproven. It's just this. I get why I understand the optics. 51 piece after I say he's a fake superstar, but just ignore the superstar fact in this. Just the pure consistency argument. Just leave it at just that. Leave superstar out of this. It doesn't become untrue with this game. It just doesn't. So yeah, I think I've made my point. I don't really care that that much as I am arguing about it, but like, I don't know. Sometimes I get caught up in, when people get caught up in semantics, it bothers me. So I feel the need to explain it. And this goes beyond whether or not I'm right, because I would like to be wrong. You know, I can be in this context. I would like Jayson Tatum to play like a superstar throughout his entire career, because I like Jayson Tatum and I'm rooting for him. I've been rooting for him for a very long time. And the thing that upsets me truly about this is when it's treated as though I'm like antagonistic towards Jayson Tatum. I'm not. I'm rooting for the best for him. And I just hate that anytime you're critical of a player, you then become a hater of that player. Don't hate Jayson Tatum if you're a Celtics fan. I'm not your enemy. If you're a Kevin Durant fan, I am your enemy. That's true. I'll admit when I'm a hater, but I'm not being a hater here. I'm just simply not. But yeah, anyways, that aside, that's it. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, and goodbye.